Hey everybody, this is Jorden with Vistas Realty, and I am joined today by the American Eagle Home Inspection team, Kimmy and Chuck. So today we wanted to take some time to talk to you about the all-important topic of home inspection whenever you're buying a house and before you list your home. So would you guys like to introduce yourselves?
Yeah, like you said, we are American Eagle Home Inspection. I'm Kimmy, and this is Chuck. Chuck's the inspector. We are actually a husband and wife team. I run the office. I do all the admin, bookings, and scheduling. So if you ever call, you'll be talking to me.
And Chuck is the home inspector.
And I am the home inspector,
Ta-da!
and I will be the one at the house, crawling in the crawl space, coming out with spider webs all over my hat and face. But
he does the dirty work.
I'm doing the dirty work.
Yeah.
She just points to where I gotta go, and that's what I do.
Oh, awesome. Well, I have a couple of questions for you guys today. So what part of a home in a home inspection is not inspected?
There's certain components, personal items that are not attached to the house, washer machines, dryers, spas or tubs, outdoors on decks and stuff like that. Those are not part of inspection. Window units, stuff like that.
Oh, that makes sense.
Yeah.
That makes sense. So appliances as well.
Yeah,
as
certain
here,
appliances.
definitely.
Yeah.
Okay.
Anything that's attached to the house is usually inspected. I kind of do a complimentary inspection of the refrigerator if it's there. I'll check it out really quick.
And the washing machine and the oven and the range, because they're all attached. But yeah, another important clarification I think is it's what they can see. A lot of people expect, oh, what if there's something in the wall, or we can only inspect what we see. And also by law, we're not permitted to move things.
Okay.
So if you've got a dresser in front of your electrical panel, unfortunately that's inaccessible. So I think that's
that
important.
dresser.
Yeah. I think your realtor will coach you too. I mean, how to prepare for an inspection. There's tons of tips online, but that's a good one.
Absolutely.
There's one I got asked recently. Trash compactors it's an item we don't inspect.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah, it's North Carolina doesn't require us to do it, and some inspectors do it, and they end up damaging it. So that's why a lot of inspectors probably have stepped away from doing that, including myself. I won't do it. So.
Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, that's not a very common household item.
It's not
anymore.
Yeah, I was going to say, you don't really see them anymore.
Excellent. How long does the home inspection usually take?
At least 2.5 hours, depending on the size of the home. Yeah, it could go. I've done it up to 4 hours. Bigger houses, a lot of components, multiple HVAC systems, tons of bathrooms, 3 kitchens, all that kind of stuff.
Oh my goodness.
So, yeah.
That's a
Well,
lot.
we'll also let you know whenever you book with us, and we'll get you that time quote based off the square footage, so you have a little bit of an understanding of what you're in for, and
It's helpful.
yeah. And it also lets people know we prefer that we recommend people show up towards the end. That way he can have uninterrupted time to inspect and really give you guys that Clip Notes version and all the important meat of the information towards the end of the inspection.
She makes a really great point. When on inspection day, it is important to let your home inspector do his thing before you come in and start asking questions. And I know that I've shown up at Chuck's inspections, and I'm like, I'm very early, aren't I? I'm so sorry.
I say, no
Which
way.
is fine.
No, it's perfect timing. I'm under the house.
But you're welcome to browse the house yourselves, yeah.
But yes, giving your home inspector the time that he needs or she needs to get the inspection done, and then you come and for the Cliff Notes, basically, to let you know the red flags and all of those things that you need to know before you're purchasing a home or before you list it. Speaking of, what are some red flags that people should look for in their report?
Plumbing leaks, foundation issues, decking issues, roofing leaks, anything. Water is basically the number one enemy of the house. And then there's safety, fall hazard stuff.
Okay.
So I'm probably missing a few things, but
Well, so what I was going to say too, our software, it's literally a red flag. We have a color coding system, so your general maintenance items are a nice cool blue. Then we do have an orange category, which is kind of a little bit of an elevated concern, but nothing major. And then we literally have red. So like he said, that's going to be your active concerns and active leak, something that needs to be addressed immediately. Smoke detector, carbon monoxide detector, and those things are actually mandated by the state that we bring those to people's attention. But yeah, they're usually a much smaller category, but definitely something you want to bring your attention to right away.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I agree with that too. Water is a killer of homes for sure. So as far as, you mentioned decking, as far as safety hazards, what kind of things would come up on a deck that you should be aware of? Or a consumer should be aware of?
Loose fasteners, posts, staircases of the deck wobbling a lot or just not attached properly. So
you shouldn't literally be able to shake it.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, we see that more often than not. So yeah, it's a problem. I mean, it's just wood. It's prone to normal wear and tear and aging. And there's he recommends general maintenance sometimes and can make specific recommendations to prolong the life of your deck. But yeah, that's definitely a concern, even when showing real estate or going to look at real estate. Make sure that the structure is safe before you enter.
Yep, absolutely. So right now we're kind of talking a bit about home inspections in general, and we know that everyone needs to get a home inspection when you're buying a house. But what about a pre-listing home inspection? What do you guys think about that?
So I actually came prepared with some tips. We think this is a huge benefit, especially in the real estate world, and especially even in today's market, in any market. But we actually brought some 10 tips that we thought people might find interesting of why we recommend pre-listing inspections, because I do find the general public is unfamiliar with the concept of pre-inspections. Like, why would I do that? I'll just do it once we're under contract. So we can run through some of these. I think that would be useful. The first tip we found is it allows you to see your home through the eyes of a neutral party. We all love our homes. They're great. But you forget what someone else is going to care about, or if there's a safety concern. That old leak that you just put that bucket under and forgot all about it. You want someone to bring your attention back to that, because like I said, that's the first thing a buyer is going to see. And the more things a buyer sees and can pick up on, that starts to bring doubt. Like she's like, if there's that bucket under that sink, what else are they hiding? Et cetera. So you just want to move that level of doubt, because obviously you're not hiding anything. So it just kind of brings that to the forefront. 2, it alerts you to immediate safety issues. Unfortunately, if you do have that deck, or hey, maybe you haven't gone out, outside in that part of the crawl space, in ever, or recently, you want to make sure there's no trip hazards, because when listing a home, you're going to have a lot of people who are unfamiliar with the property coming and going. So you just want to make sure, for liability reasons, like you don't have any immediate safety concerns.
That's a great point.
So that's helpful. And then also you can be alerted to immediate hazardous concerns. Something such as radon or termite infestation. Once again, something you might not be familiar with, because obviously radon is an invisible gas, or termites can be in the foundation of your home, in the crawl space, a place most people don't go often. So that's important, because when you sell a home, someone's going to get a home inspection. It's going to come up. So it benefits to you to know ahead of time.
Absolutely.
Which leads to my next one. It permits you the time to make repairs ahead of time. I think all of us in the real estate world know right now, people are so busy, so booked out. It's hard to get good help, so you don't want to be stuck in your due diligence, wanting to close, wanting to move on, maybe having another contingent purchase, and you're stuck trying to scramble and get contractors to do the repairs. So it definitely gives you a head start. And it doesn't become a negotiating stumbling block. You want the most smooth, and as a seller, you don't want to sit there and negotiate. You want what you want for the property, and it's no fun to sit there and get bogged down in, oh, but you have a leak, and yeah, you have to get repairs. And then also, like I said, that gives you time to find reasonably priced contractors. You can shop around, get multiple quotes, so that way you're not stuck with just whoever can make your timeline.
Correct.
Yeah, or, there are a lot of recommendations that Chuck makes that are DIY repairs. Things that you can do yourself. So it would give you that time and opportunity to do those repairs yourself and save some money. And then it also helps you price your home realistically. I know we all think the world of our homes, but you definitely want to be realistic in this market and have an aggressive pricing strategy, which your lovely realtor will help you with. But I think having that inspection and kind of bringing yourself back to reality and coming to terms with the condition of your home can be very helpful. especially in the Asheville area. We have a lot of older, beautiful, gorgeous homes, but it's definitely, there's a pricing strategy for every property, and that can help play a part in that. And then, like I said, it reduces your liability not only by safety hazards, but adds professional documentation to support your position to your home. You do have to do a disclosure statement about the condition of your house. So this kind of just reinforces, hey, someone else looked at it and has that same opinion as me, that it is safe or anything of that particular. Also, you can choose to share the inspection with potential buyers. Obviously, that's an option of yours, but sometimes that may speed up the process, and it could relieve potential concerns, especially, for example, if it's an older home. A lot of people are going to walk in, and that's their first concern. Well, what's wrong with it? I don't know. I'm too nervous. I can't make an offer. But if you're like, hey, we've already had an inspection done. Here's a copy. They may say, oh, great. I don't have these concerns, or maybe I would be willing to make an offer. And that leads us to our 10th, and I think most appetizing point, is you could potentially get someone to waive that due diligence period or shorten it significantly if you've already had that done. Like I said, it just relieves their concerns. Chances are they'll probably also still have their own inspection, but it's like, hey, I'm an open book. Here's what we've got. And like I said, a shorter due diligence is a shorter closing for you. Get your money sooner and move on.
Yep. Those are all really great points.
Oh, thank you.
Good job. I like that.
We like to think so. So yeah, like I said, just in summary, I just feel like it's a great benefit to give you that head start and to ensure the process just goes that much smoother.
Yeah, absolutely. Go ahead, Chuck.
I was going to say, keep invoices of the repairs that you do, because that will help out significantly.
Yes.
I have done inspections on homes that have already had a pre-listing inspection, and they said they did the repairs on certain items with no invoices anywhere, and I go in and sure enough, I'll find those items not repaired or not repaired properly. So.
Yeah, or to that point, I would also suggest, and we also do re-inspections for a small fee. So, for example, if we did the pre-inspection, you had some items addressed, we can always come back and do a re-inspection, so that it gives an extra layer of assurance to that potential buyer that, hey, it was addressed, here's the invoices, Chuck came back, he inspected it, he blessed it, we're cool. So
that's good to know.
That's always
not a lot of people will do that. That's awesome.
Yeah.
So in your list, you touched on radon, which I think is a very mysterious thing for some people. Can you talk a little bit about what radon is, the level that it needs to be under in a house, and kind of how you test for that?
Sure. Yeah, radon is kind of funky, and especially a lot of people who are here in Asheville come from a different part of the country. Radon gas is actually most prevalent in the Northeast. So, in the northeastern states, you have much higher concentrations than we do here. You can actually look on the EPA's website for a map of North Carolina. Actually, here in Western North Carolina, we are in a higher concentrated area. It does say that on average, most homes might experience that higher reading. That reading being 4.0 is the threshold you want to be at. So if you're below 4.0 average reading, I believe that's picocuries per liter. Yeah, right? You're probably safe, but if it goes above that average, you're going to want to get a mitigation system. And so to back up a tad, so radon is essentially a radioactive gas emitted naturally by the earth, but what happens in houses and structures, it can trap that gas, and that's where the hazard comes from. So yeah, and a lot of people have mixed feelings, like I said, people who aren't familiar, but really my bottom line is the test. We do it in-house. We have our own radon machines. It's $125, so for a potentially, life-threatening gas, it's kind of like, cost benefit. We think it's a great thing to just take care of and be aware. And really, it's not a big deal. If you do have higher radon, we do the mitigation systems, or we don't personally, but the mitigation systems can be installed, and they're $1,500 to $2,500, and they're very effective. So, it's nothing to be, too overly worried about. It's easy. You get the test done, and if there's an issue, we address it.
That's good to know. And it is, again, in your pre-listing inspection, you can get a radon test that will tell you that. I know that for newer and younger families, that's a very, very hot button issue is radon. And if you're living in an older home in Asheville, or even honestly newer construction, because I've heard that new construction has more radon than older homes do.
So it actually, the age of the home, the style of the home, it means nothing. So old or new, it really doesn't matter. It could have the same concentrations, higher or lower. So really, yeah, you should always test no matter what. Because I've heard that too. Go, oh, it's new construction, doesn't have radon. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
The structure is going to trap that gas, regardless of the age of the structure. And then I also encourage people, if there is a radon mitigation installed, I would still have it tested. A lot of the mitigation companies recommend you I think retest every 3 to 5 years. The systems can burn out, they have wear and tear. And to me, if a system's installed, that tells you that they have had a problem previously, so you just want to double check that that system's still functioning and get that test. So, and like I said, it's a pretty low cost test in the gamut of inspections, so really just be safe and make sure your family's safe, and it can also affect your pets, so do it for your little furry friends.
Oh, I didn't know
Yeah.
that.
Do it for the dogs. But yeah.
So speaking of getting radon re-inspected, after you purchase a home and you've been living there, even if you have no intention of moving out, should you re-inspect your home periodically?
I'll take that one.
You're a better speaker than
I know, I
But
talk too much.
yes.
Yeah, absolutely. Like I said, radon can actually also fluctuate, so it doesn't hurt to have that retested. And there's a lot of general maintenance items with owning a home, as we all know. A lot of wear and tear, so it doesn't hurt to just run your systems through the paces. You know, he'll check the HVAC system, the plumbing, the electrical. Also,
how often do you go into your own crawl space?
exactly.
Yes.
So you don't know if you've had, you know, a pest issue that has formulated over the years, or possibly a water intrusion issue that can come with just time, breakdown, erosion of components, and things like septic. I mean, septic should be pumped every 3 to 5 years. I don't think a lot of people know that. Judging by our inspections, that definitely doesn't happen. So, yeah, just definitely a lot of routine maintenance items. Yeah, so not even if you're not thinking of listing, it's always, knowledge is power. It's always good to know.
Yep, I totally agree with that. And Chuck, you told me a few moments ago before we started a very shocking horror story.
Which one?
The one about the electric panel.
Oh.
Can you tell us a little bit about that? Because I think this is an important story because
It is. It's kind of dangerous. I was inspecting a home, and I go outside to check the electrical panel, and what I do is I take the cover off, and I was going to take the cover off, and using my screwdriver, took the screws out. For some reason, it didn't bite me then, but it bit me as soon as I started to take the panel off, and it jumped me back a little bit. And
Got a little shock.
Got a little tingly for the next hour of the home inspection, but that kind of stuff needs to be looked at, and you don't want to go over there and think you're just going to turn on a breaker or turn off a breaker, and then all of a sudden you get zapped really bad. In there the panel, there's issues in the panel, put it that way. So
absolutely.
Yeah, and
was this an owner-occupied home?
it was a rental.
It was a rental. Okay, so even landlords out there, take heed. You know, I think it would behoove you to have your property inspected in between renters, because you're not in there every day. You don't see what's going on at all. And here, that's a huge liability right there.
Yeah, you don't want your tenant being zapped.
I didn't follow my own guidelines. I do have a voltage sniffer that I usually wave before I touch anything, and I was like, no, this looks fine.
It's a breaker box. I mean,
it looked
the
like
average person would think that too.
a newer panel, and I was like, oh, it'll be all right. Nah, it got me. So, but it is
Lesson
what it
learned.
is, yeah.
He's still alive.
That's
He's
just
okay.
one of the very few.
You live to tell the tale.
I know that I've personally used you guys a couple of times, and I think that y'all have a great menu of services. Can you talk to us a little bit about the services that you provide and offer, and what kind of packages?
Yeah, so, I mean, first and foremost, we do the base home inspection, or I call it the base home inspection. And like we've touched on, that's kind of everything he can visually see. So he's going to look at the structure, the roof, obviously walls, and then, like I said, he runs the paces of the HVAC, plumbing, electric, from what he can see, obviously. And he will access an attic or a crawl space as long as it's been made available. So that's a base inspection, but we do offer some add-ons, the first being a pest inspection. And like I said, most referred to as wood-destroying insects because it's not only termites, powder post beetles, carpenter bees, a whole fun gamut of things that Chuck gets to encounter on a daily basis, in addition to shocking himself. Then we also do the radon testing, like we mentioned. That's in-house. We have our own machines. It takes 48 hours, so just know to plan it in your timeline if you need that test. Then we also, if you're on a septic system, we also have a separate vendor under a separate license that will do septic inspections. They can pair that with pumping the system, which we do ultimately recommend because that gives them the best view of the septic tank overall. But septic pumps and inspections, also well inspections, which have two components. So you have your well inspections, and like I said, the water test, we have a list of the specific concerns that it tests for. So try and well describe it there so everyone can kind of look at their own leisure. Everything spelled out, AmericanEagleHomeInspection.com. And that's singular, no S at the end.
There you go. There you go. Well, thank you guys for talking with me today. Really appreciate it. I hope you all found it helpful. I know that I did. So I hope you have a great day. And thanks for joining us.
Happy Sunday.